Hi, today we're going to take a look at the periodic table. Now the periodic table contains lots of different elements and it tells us a lot of information about these elements. We're going to start off by looking at the groups. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 groups. Okay, just make that look a bit better. That's number 3. Okay, and what we've also got is a block in the middle called the transition metals. Now, depending on the element's position in the periodic table, depends on the properties and the type of element it is. So, in group 1, for example, what we have here are alkali metals, and they are very reactive with water. So, if someone was to ask you a question and say, is potassium an alkali metal? You could find potassium, see it was in group 1 and say, yeah, potassium is. If they were to say to you, is aluminium an alkali metal? As you can see, I've just circled aluminium over here and it's in group 3. So because it's the alkali metals in group 1, you can say, no, aluminium is not. Okay. Now, what we've also got is over here in group 7, we've got the halogens. Okay, so those are a group of non-metals, all right, and they have very different properties. Now, you've also got group 0, and group 0 here is, they are all noble gases, and they are inert. Okay, so they're all unreactive. So if it's saying to you, tell me a property of argon, for example, you can say it's in group 0, it's a noble gas, it's unreactive. Because once you remember which group it's in, you're able to give that piece of information. All right. Now, if we move on to the next slide, these are 2 of the elements we've just taken from the periodic table, and they've got some key information. So, this bit of information here is the atomic number. Okay, and this tells you about the number of electrons. And this information here is the relative atomic mass. So this is the relative atomic mass. Okay, so it will give you an idea of the size, and it'll give you an idea, it will help you work out the number of neutrons and protons in the element as well. All right, so helium has an atomic number of 2, it has 2 electrons in its outer shell. Potassium, and we know from the previous slide, potassium is in group 1, and potassium also has 1 electron in its outer shell. Now, if we look at 2 more, we've got boron and iodine. Boron can be found in group 3, and the group number tells you that there's 3 electrons in the outer shell. And iodine is one of the halogens, and it's in group 7. Okay, don't forget these numbers down here are what we can abbreviate to RAM, the relative atomic mass. Then another 2 for you to look at are fluorine and carbon. Now, fluorine, again, being in group 7, and carbon being in group 4. So it's good to have a look at the periodic table and familiarise yourself with them so that you can locate these in the groups. You're not expected to learn the symbols, but you'll find that you do learn symbols of quite a few of the elements. So for example, some of you will already know this symbol, this one, you might know this one. You very quickly pick up this one, and many of you will know this compound as well. So this one here is the symbol for oxygen. Here is for hydrogen, this is for helium, this one's for potassium, so therefore all our elements. Now this is water. You won't find this in the periodic table because this is a compound, which means it contains more than 1 element. Okay, so that gives you a little insight to it. If you need a little bit more help with the periodic table, I suggest you go and watch our other video on the periodic table, and remember that we've got plenty of digital downloads available in our shop to support this topic.